I've got the answer right here, ladies and gentlemen, to everything that ails you. Now, step right up.
One who acts like a duck about his salves and remedies. The cruel practice of making money on people's worries feared throughout the years as quackery.
I said cured of backache, nervousness,
any number of diseases. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't ask you to take my word for it. I've got the answer right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Quackery. This is a very special midweek quick hitter of Quackery, where we're going to focus on, you guys may have heard of it, the coronavirus, not Corona Light, not Bud Light, coronavirus. So I'm Dr. Will the Pill, and with me as always is my man John, and our semi-permanent guest star here, Zach.
Hello, hello.
So I know Zach is obsessed with this coronavirus. He basically updates me 15, 16 times a day on the status. So we'll get to him in just a second. I was just going to give you guys kind of a rundown on what it is. So similar to MERS, MERS, or SARS, you guys have heard of those. Coronavirus, it's an enveloped virus. It means it's kind of more protected. It's RNA virus. I know some of this stuff's confusing, but it comes from corona, obviously, which is Latin. It means crown or halo. So if you look at these viruses under a microscope, they look like they're wearing crowns almost, and that's that's where the coronavirus comes from. They typically go from some sort of animal to people, and that's when they start getting bad. So most coronaviruses, there's a lot of them out there, but most of them aren't that serious. But this new one from the Wuhan virus has been making news pretty, and so we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about a little what to worry about, what not to worry about here, and a little bit of quackery thrown in.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I honestly haven't heard of this.
What?
No, I don't watch the news.
If you just open up Google, I feel like it's page one.
No, Google is just a search engine. Okay. I'm saying, like, they just had the search box.
Son of a bitch.
No, I
know what Google is.
I'm just saying, like, I've been watching Pandemic. I didn't know there was a new virus, though.
Yeah, how convenient is that? How convenient is this episode?
I think they already had it ready, but I think they probably sped up the release because of this.
What do you mean release? Of Pandemic.
Of the series.
Because it was, 2 days after it kind of started getting a big deal? It popped out. So, yeah.
So
maybe they were just sitting on it waiting for something to happen.
That's scary, right? Until Bill Gates released it?
Bill Gates did release it.
He didn't release it.
Doesn't he own? So Zach said that he owns a virus. He has a patent.
Well, he has copyright. He has a patent on a specific type of coronavirus that they were trying to use because he's apparently really big into pandemic control or whatever.
Yeah, he's trying to completely wipe out polio from the world,
which would be nice.
Sorry.
No, you're good. But yeah, so he has a patent on a certain type of coronavirus that they were using as a live virus for inoculating people against it.
How do you patent a virus?
That's a good question.
I don't see why patenting a virus would be weird. You're biochemically engineering something.
I mean, so if I make that virus, he can sue me for making a virus?
Now, if I come up with a sexual position, can I patent that?
That sounds ridiculous.
And if anyone uses it, then I get money?
I don't know exactly how copyright law works, but I mean, if you built a car, you can't just make the exact same car and sell it.
But it's not alive.
Yeah, but this is like...
I mean, I guess... I guess Monsanto had already proved this is possible, right? God. So we're drinking, fittingly, Corona beer. And I wanted to see if... So I've heard a story about why they put the lime in the beer. I don't know if you guys have heard it. I'm going to tell mine. If you guys know one, you tell yours. So, no, it's not just like... something fun that happens. So apparently, according to some guy I talked to, and this very credible source. So, okay, the Corona, brewery bottle, I guess where they bottle it, a bottling factory. So where they bottle it is notoriously gross in Mexico. And so the beers are clean. They go into the bottles and they're sealed up. But then when they're waiting to ship out, there were rats pissing all over the bottles. Nice. And so that's close to, even though the cap's on there, if they got close to the top, your mouth goes, over the bottle. So the people who worked at the factory, they knew, like, shit, we can drink these beers, but it's dirty at the top. So they would just take a lime, because it's a cheap antiseptic, it's very acidic, rub it over that top part, and then you're good to go. And they found out, the lime with it tastes good. And there you go.
Oh, it makes sense. Acidifying to de-germ or whatever. Yeah, it works.
Yeah, but I kind of want to know what the rat feces taste like too.
Well,
So I can compare.
Just a comparison. Well, there's plenty of quackery where they ate rat feces and all sorts of feces to try to cure stuff. So I'm sure we'll get into that. Maybe we'll get you a sample.
All right.
Zach could probably hook you up.
Yum. Yeah.
So tell us the sort of the progression of this. I know December 2019, the Wuhan novel coronavirus, they have some abbreviation for it. They haven't really named it yet. Showed up in central China.
Yeah.
And then what happened from there? There's some suspicious stuff too.
Yeah, so the largest virology lab in China is actually located in Wuhan, and there's been some debate on whether or not they were doing biological weapons testing and whatnot there. So it is possible, although I agree, unlikely, that this could be something that leaked out of the factory, the lab, which would be pretty crazy. But so it spread relatively quickly. We've got at least 3 cases, right, in America now. North Carolina.
Yeah, I heard about North Carolina
Washington,
yesterday.
LA,
Was it killing
and
people?
Texas. So we don't know. I haven't seen really confirmed mortality numbers, but what I've seen is what do we decide? Well, like 4% mortality rate.
Well,
to it?
what it looked like 0.4%, but
Yeah, sorry.
it was like, or is it 4%?
I think it was 4%.
4%. No, you're right. So what was it? 35 and 800 or whatever
Yeah,
that quick
roughly.
math is. So that's pretty high. I mean, considering the flu only kills like 0.008% or something. I don't know. The numbers vary because not everyone reports who gets the flu. But let's say, just for reference, last flu season was one of the worst we've had in years.
Yeah.
It killed 80,000 people.
My God.
Yeah. So, I mean, people think about flu is not that serious, and they're like, oh, corona, virus is new. It's killed 25 to 35 people, but it's very suspicious. So, it's a little bit more deadly, but it's new, so we don't have anything to prepare against it. Similar symptoms to flu. You're going to get upper respiratory. You're going to get the fever, chills, all those different kind of things. So immunocompromised people, old people, very small children are going to be more at risk. Normal, healthy people are not going to be as much at risk. So don't panic too much. It's going to be similar to like a flu.
That you need to panic immediately.
This podcast
Go to the store,
this is called Quackery Panic.
buy all the Lysol, get your canned goods.
Oh
We're
my
going to be
God.
stuck in our houses for years.
Watch that
until
damn
this thing goes away.
documentary, and Heather's like, should we go buy oxygen tanks and antibiotics and stock them
It's
up?
not
I'm
a
like,
bad idea.
We saw the same scenario play out before where a lab releases a virus. If you remember Resident Evil 2,
yeah.
the
good
Umbrella
point.
Corporation.
Basically all the Resident Evils. The Umbrella Corporation is probably behind this, right?
So you really think they released it? Like, what's the possibility of they release this on the street for
Purposely?
Purposely.
Very,
No,
zero.
it's got to be
Zero.
an accident
Yeah.
at their
They
own
wouldn't-
country.
Why would you? I mean, they're not Iran.
Because they
wouldn't
want
release it on
maybe
their
to
own
test
people.
it.
So okay,
test it out.
Here's the suspicious part. So Zach was saying that what they say 1,000 specialists came and they shut down Wuhan
Yeah, they
and they
completely
brought in.
closed
So
off
that's
all
more people than are
transportation.
sick to come in to try to contain.
Yeah.
So like, do you really bring in 1,000 workers?
It was
or
100.
800
It was
people?
150 military medics. They flew in specifically to Wuhan to try to help with the situation. But you've got
Kind of
800.
wouldn't lie to us, would they?
No, they didn't lie about SARS at all. It definitely didn't get out of control on them at all, and spread
start wearing
across
a
the world.
SARS
The
mask
only
with a
reason
teddy bear on
SARS
it.
didn't kill half the world is because the virus just wasn't that strong.
Yeah.
It was completely outside of any possible containment. There was no viable treatment options for it. The only thing that saved us was the virus. It was kind of a weak virus. It just didn't work.
And it's coronavirus, SARS.
Yeah.
The severe.
Is it airborne?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
they're
it was
airborne.
also
They're person-to-person contact
zoonotic.
droplets
Right. And that
from
was
animals
zoonotic.
as well.
Crossover from animals to humans. Yeah.
And of course,
it all
that's
comes
what
from these-
happens.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, so where they think it started was this weird ass. They sold fish and random animals there. Like what was it? They think it's either from a snake, wolf, rat, something like that,
Yeah.
and it crossed over to humans, and then it was able to go human to human. Because there's coronaviruses that are extremely deadly, but they only kill people who get it from the animals, and they can't go person to person. There's ones that are like
Gotcha.
60% mortality rate.
Wow.
But you can only catch it from eating
Wow.
bat wing soup or some bullshit like that.
Right.
It's gross.
And they say that like these zoonotic viruses are a lot more likely, or we expect them to occur a lot more commonly because our society is pushing further into the wild and we're coming across more of it. There's more contact opportunities. And the idea behind why China is seeing so much of it is these markets where they have several different types of animals living together, a lot of times on top of each other in cages. So they're defecating on top of each other, and these viruses are allowed to commingle, and you get some really crazy mutations from that.
Speaking of which, you guys ever saw that Kingsman 2? You see that movie?
Yes. Kingsman movies are better than I thought they would be.
I love them. Yeah. So, at the end of the Kingsman movie, they're like stacking people up in cages who are sick. I'm like, they're going to be shit. I'd hate to be at the bottom.
Hey, I'm in wastewater, and there's one thing that the brown rule is that shit flows downhill.
Yeah.
Oof. Does it ever?
And don't end up the last guy in the human centipede. Wait, what are we talking about?
I'd probably be better. I think I'd rather be last than second.
What?
Yeah.
I'd rather be first.
I'd rather be. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Why would you want to be
I don't know.
Because by the time that poop it gets digested by how many people, like, what is really, there's not really, it's not much to it. It's just going to be barely anything, and it's going to be just like baby food. It's still gross, but I'd rather the second person in the train has it the worst because they're getting regular straight up shit like a big log of Duke in their mouth. The next person's
but it's firm. It's normal. It's what you would expect. You don't know what's coming out
Plus
of that.
Plus, there's more nutrients in this.
That's right.
Yeah, straight from the source.
Hey, it may get rid of colitis.
So there's a lot of quackery right now. That osteocilium stuff is quackery. We'll talk about it on another episode. Zach, I just had a package of it downstairs.
Is it something I could sell?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so Fear sells those kind of products. So they had the thing where they said, you take this osteocilium, whatever. It's basically nothing. Like, it used to be, so the guy first started, it was duck liver that they would then take and dilute it down 200,000 times and then give it to you in a tablet and say, a little bit of something bad is good. But a little bit of something that doesn't do anything for you is not going to do anything for you. Right. So basically people are getting benefit from it from placebo effect. Now elderberry, we'll do it. I'd want to do a whole episode on that one because it's quackery, but there may be some evidence where it does a little bit of help. So there still needs to be more research, but you're going to want to just treat the symptoms and stay hydrated, get your sleep.
Go to the doctor. No.
What, for coronavirus? If it gets bad enough.
Wait, they need to quarantine you, though,
for
right?
Quarantine. I mean, this is.
I don't want to be quarantined.
But you're not going to know.
No, you can just stay in your house. But this is.
I mean, if you know you have coronavirus, yeah.
Either stay in your house or go to the doctor. Don't go down to the store and buy your elderberry.
Right.
Get somebody to bring it to you. Don't.
But at some point, like if you're a healthy, if you're in between 15 to 55 and you're a healthy specimen, and just treat it like you would treat a cold or a flu. Which they're not the same. Flus are way worse. But
stay away from
people. Stay away from people.
I mean, that's the biggest problem with this, right?
But if you know for some reason, you ate snake bite soup in Wuhan and you're not telling anybody, you're not feeling good, maybe go tell, somebody. But as far as if it does go pandemic, so to speak, just don't panic.
What's the pandemic? What do you mean pandemic?
So it's going across. It's just completely covering everything.
Think Pangea.
That is true. Think Pangea. All the when all the continents were together. It's going to be it's going to cover every continent.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, from sea to shining sea.
Right.
And it's more likely now to do that because of the way we travel. You'll have somebody who's in China today, and then they're going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina tomorrow, and then they're going to be they're going to be over in Russia the next day.
Yep.
They're going to be spreading everywhere they go.
I was watching Pandemic, and if something like this breaks out and starts killing people, let's say like the Black Death, like it's comparable to the Black Death. What I was thinking is I would just take Nicole and the dogs and just go into the woods.
It's not a bad idea.
And live.
Yeah, stay away from people.
What I thought on that one was weird. So did you guys watch episode 2, or I think it's episode 2 yet?
Yeah.
So where they show that small town doctor and she's like, I'm worried if there's a pandemic, I'm not going to get the supplies I need. I'm like, yes, but you also were so isolated. Like, I know people travel. Like, I mean, if you get flu, you have potential to. You're less likely to get it and to get it bad fast because they're so isolated. Like,
right.
But if they do get it, everyone's going to get it.
They're kind of spread out though. Everyone at the hospital probably would get it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so the one thing that drove me crazy about that show is that woman, and I understand, like, in my personal opinion, if you don't want to vaccinate your kids, but the law is don't bring them to freaking school and stuff like that.
Right.
And that's so
and
they
to
don't
get mad, about that. God, that pisses me off.
Yeah, it pisses me off because, all right,
We're 100%
that's
doing a
good.
vaccines
You want
episode,
to,
by the way.
Yeah,
So.
because it's so selfish. Oh, they can't make me vaccinate my kids. It's not you. It's the other people
Right.
that are playing by the rules that are going to get sick by your kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to slap her across the face.
Well, and so I think it's a sign that society has gotten so good.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a rule in society, like there's always going to be so much turmoil, things people want to argue about.
Yeah.
So if the better society gets, the smaller those things are going to be. So like, okay, this vaccine saved 5 billion lives, and then it harmed, 500 people. Well, think about that number. It's probably not even that many people. It's probably 15 people. Actually, there's no evidence that they cause autism. That was a bogus study. All that stuff is fake. So we'll do a whole episode on vaccines. But I agree. It's not fair to everyone else for them to be able to do. I get to choose what happens to my body. Well,
We should start an island for them.
Exactly. It's fair.
should do their own thing.
It's fair if you keep them away from public schools, public hospitals, public libraries, the mall. You know what I'm saying? But
are they going to live in the new white America? You know what I'm talking about? You got those white supremacists who are like they want to start their own America.
Northern.
We'll put them together. I think it's a good idea.
So.
Just put them all in there together.
They
What was
probably.
it? Jenny McCarthy, right? Isn't she?
Oof, yeah.
She's a big
bad about that.
anti-vaxxer.
Oof.
But I mean, think if you're on this, Lepers Island, hey, Jenny McCarthy rolls in.
That is true. I
Hey,
mean,
all right.
it's always a risk benefit for all you
right.
anti-vaxxers out there. It's always a risk benefit
right.
of getting your kids vaccinated or not.
Or
you
hooking up
don't.
with
You get
Jenny
to hang out with
McCarthy.
Jenny McCarthy.
Yeah.
And you might catch something else.
Wow. Does she have one leg?
What?
Didn't one of Paul McCarthy's wives, didn't she lose a leg? Am I making that up?
I don't know.
Wait, what?
I'll look it up.
I don't think Jenny McCarthy and Paul McCartney are related.
No, they were married for several years.
What? Really?
That's where she got her last name from.
Ladies and gentlemen, this show is called Quackery. And this has been a quick hitter, just a short thing about the coronavirus.
And I do want to say there is some good news. I did see an article this morning that China has potentially cured its first patient this morning. So
That's awesome.
sounds like the medicine is catching up, maybe before this thing gets out of control.
But this thing,
I do have another.
They
Go ahead.
just keep getting stronger and stronger. That's my concern, dude. The superbug, like we keep defeating it, but it keeps.
You think about
adapting.
viruses differently than
Dude,
bacteria.
we're literally
and all that.
going to have something we can't treat, and it's going to kill everybody.
99.9% of viruses and bacteria. What's that 0.01? That's what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
I mean, that's a real
so
concern.
it is. The super bugs.
Yeah.
I think bacteria is more dangerous for that. Obviously, there'll be viruses. And it's probably one that's an enveloped virus that maybe is more, resistant to stuff like that. They did say that. So Australia, their university there has this special pandemic basically team. They're like the fast reaction force, and they said that they already are started working on the coronavirus, the Wuhan coronavirus vaccine, and they could have it in as little as 6 months. Now I know that sounds like a long time, but that shit takes time. Like your flu shot you get from CVS or whatever, that thing they had to work on that all year to not only test it to make sure that it's going to work, test it on people, but then ramp up enough supply for everyone.
So they had to do that every year.
That's why they don't always hit, because
That's
they don't wait
crazy.
until the flu comes to make it, because they never would have a chance to get enough shots.
Yeah, that's
And
crazy.
I do have fresh numbers out of China here. Total 1,372 cases in the nation of China, with 41 people dead.
Wait,
as
what?
of 6 p.m. local time. Wow. I don't know what local time in China is, but that was 2 hours
I
ago.
wonder if those are real numbers though, because they
There's
do.
no way
what I'm
they're
saying.
Yeah.
not. They're not. But I mean, that's not great, because it was 800 yesterday, right? So that's going the wrong way pretty quickly.
Sounds like so my kid was homesick from daycare yesterday, and they have this little app. So like if they're at daycare, they tell you like when they pee, when they poop, and how much they eat.
What?
So I got a report on
an
her
app.
her peeing, pooping, and eating. Oh, she ate some of her food. She was at home. It's like, when did she sneak off to daycare and eat her lunch?
Oh man, that's some quackery right there.
Busted.
Yeah, busted.
Wow. And by the way, it's Heather Mills who lost a leg when she was married to Paul McCarthy.
But you were way off then.
Paul McCarthy and
Heather
McCartney.
Yeah, same thing.
Okay, so that was a quick hitter there on the coronavirus. Hopefully, it's just nothing. Hopefully, this is just a distant memory soon. But you guys know a little bit about it now. And for Dr. Will the Pill, John, and Zach, this has been Quackery. If you really enjoyed this episode, make sure to go to quackerypodcast.com/join and becoming an official Quackhead. We'd really appreciate it. Also, follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And until next time.
It sounded like a clown.
It's an actual duck call. Come on. I was excited about that.
Yes.
It goes the other way. What if there was a never mind, I was thinking ass to ass, but that you couldn't really make much of a centipede. Wow. Then it comes out your mouth. I don't know.
Wow.
I am the doctor of the show, believe it or not.
It works.
That is how it works?
Yeah.
If you tape two buttholes together, it'll come out the mouth.
I practice with frogs.
That's the sound of a serial killer, No.